Welcome back to the Convo Couch, everyone. Foster Jardula here.
And I'm Fiorella.
And Osland with the overall spinning on the ones and twos.
Okay, so give me a minute because I didn't know we were up that quick.
Yeah,
so
yeah. Let's guys, take the chance right now to share it out. We're on 3 different platforms in particular. We're on more than 3. Okay. We're on the YouTubes as usual. Craig R., what's going on? William Wallace, Malik Carey, J. Mo, Robert Escobar, all you handsome people there. Riley Rage, thank you so much. Paul A., Lucky Burrito, where's Leo? And here. That's how you start early, Leo. Get Leo all riled up. So thank you very much. Let's check Rokfin right now because Rokfin is acting a little funny. Is it there? Hey, my Rokfin peeps. Fam, guess who came in through the door first in the Rokfin?
Trey.
See? Know you, man. We know you. Guys, we've been growing this platform very big over there. We've been one of the tops on the platform because of you guys. You guys have made us a top 3 contender, not pretender, on Rokfin, and it's really been helping us out. When YouTube said no more, they hit us with hardcore fascism censorship. You guys picked up the slack. You got your butts on over there. You signed on up. You watch our shows. Whenever we transition over there, you guys are there quick to follow. Last week, I think we had a 250-person live stream for our last segment. And guess what? Today we have 3 segments. The 3rd segment will be on Rokfin only. And I know that kind of sucks because you might be comfortable with one platform that it's not Rokfin, but Rokfin is one of the only platforms that doesn't censor us. Now, we're going to be on another platform for the 3rd segment, and that's called Odyssey. I don't know if you guys have gone on over to Odyssey. Let me make sure and see if they were on Odyssey. Odyssey. Odyssee.
Yeah, it's not spelled like Homer's Odyssey.
I don't think something's wrong there. It says, okay, so the Odyssey is not changed yet as far as I think. Let me make sure.
It takes longer.
Well, the thumbnail's not changed, and it says millions lose unemployment on Labor Day. But still go over there. That's a live feed, even though the thumbnail and everything else is not updated because it's a little weird that way. But if you want to stay on Odyssey, you're more than welcome to stay on Odyssey. It's just go click on the live stream, ODYSEE. We're going to give it a shot over there too as well.
Okay.
Fams, do you want to say hi to anybody?
Hi, everybody. What's going on? What's going on?
Okay.
I don't do tricks, remember?
I know. I'm just asking if you wanted to. I'm being a gentleman. Guys, hit the like buttons, hit the thumbs up, hit the shares. Right now, this should be a huge stream today because guess what? We don't have a lot of people who are on right now. We're at 100 on YouTube. Let's get these numbers up. Hit that thumbs up. Hit that share. Let everybody know that real news is on. They don't have to watch MSNBC bullshit or
TYT.
CNN bullshit or any of that crap right now. We got some real news going on.
Yeah. So guys, let's get started here. You know, of course, I had to come in with this because we had maybe a week and a half ago, we had somebody that's reporting, Stephen Gu is reporting on line 3. Yeah. He's saying it's
closer to your mouth, make sure.
Oh, he's saying it's as pretty close to my mouth as it gets without me like putting my mouth around it. So anyway, so he was reporting on line 3 and he was saying the police presence is getting stronger and it's only going to get worse. Well, finally, line 3 came to the attention of the squad. And the squad, of course, it took, you know, everybody talking about it and TikTok videos and all of this. And which, by the way, the activists have done a great job of actually talking about this in spite of the giant mainstream media blackout. And line 3 is important because it really, any sort of leakage, when it happens, it's not if, but when, is going to screw a large portion of the American water supply because the Great Lakes are involved. And again, it is not going to create any jobs for, besides a handful maybe of Americans. Most of that is for Canada. It's for foreign interests, not even for the consumption of people in America. So the squad did a whole photo op, and I called this a photo op because that's exactly what this is. And Democracy Now! Posted a picture of Ilhan Omar leading the squad in protest against the Enbridge line pipeline. So basically, I wouldn't call this a protest because they're not really protesting. They're literally there taking pictures. And of course, this is in Minnesota. The progressive congresswoman of color, as Democracy later writes, joined the fight against Enbridge's Line 3 pipeline, demanding President Biden intervene to halt the project. If completed, Line 3, of course, would carry more than 750,000 barrels of Canadian tar sands oil a day through indigenous land and fragile ecosystems. Minnesota's Ilhan Omar led the rally, of the squad. Now, this is what Ilhan Omar said. She said they want to prioritize corporate profit over the lives of indigenous women and the future of our planet. Joe Biden promised to be the climate president, and this is the opportunity to follow through. If we know anything about Joe Biden, which I will get into in a second, is that Joe Biden is a fracker. He is a pro-oil guy. He hasn't changed his stance on this. So them symbolically asking Joe Biden, right, to take this into consideration is the equivalent of me like shouting and demanding that I want a pony because it's necessary now for me to get from one place to another. He's not going to fucking do it. And if you are a congressperson with power, because you have the power to legislate, right, it's up to you to do something about it. You also have millions of followers. So it's up to you to do something about it. Why now? Why not, months ago when this was happening? I mean, it's almost done, right? And so for me, you can just tell that when these people, they're told, and we talked about it with Misty yesterday on Action for Assange on the vigil, where they're, I believe 100% this is true, that they're allowed to like go after certain things at the last minute, and that they have to like kind of charade, like, that they're progressives and like say, okay, we're going to say yes on this pipeline, then we're also going to vote yes to give the Capitol Police more weapons, but we're also going to vote no on this. They take turns. And of course, that's what we're seeing here, I think, and in my opinion, just like another photo op moment.
Yep. By the way, we're going to be releasing a video today. It's called The First 500 Pages. It's called Pipeline Heaven. In the new infrastructure bill that you always hear them say, did you want to get that one? Oh, you got it. You always hear them say, oh, you know what I'm saying? Like, we'll get this new, even Josh Hawley said it was a woke bill. This is this part of Josh Hawley I can't stand, you asshole. When you look into the first 500 pages, we're going to break it down. Our good friend, the Shadow Band Refugee. It's pipeline heaven. They are finding a way to turn these state-owned highways into federally owned, controlled highways. Therefore, along the right-of-way, they can put pipelines all over the place. So the fact that they passed this infrastructure bill, they didn't say shit about it, the squad. We're going to show you. We're going to expose you because you know why? Fam, it's a shame because this shit works. Because Americans, unfortunately, are lazy. They don't want to go look into policy. They don't want to go look into the way things work. And instead, they'll take the rhetoric and the pictures and the, oh, my God, and look at that.
Yeah.
They're fighting for us. No, they are not.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the tweet I had, right? Because the Indigenous Environmental Network said on 9/4/21, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Cori Bush, Ayanna Pressley, and Mary Kanesh Podin came into Camp Namawag at the invitation of New Collective to stand in solidarity and to hear firsthand the voices of our water protectors and land defenders fighting to stop stop Line 3. Now you can see again more of these pictures, but what I wanted to talk about and mention was what Pasta just said here. What exactly are they doing about it legislatively? Last I checked, they were propping up the infrastructure bill that's about big oil and giving money to the 1% and privatizing more resources like water, land, and minerals. We are having roads in America get unpaved. Yeah. Instead, like we're going backwards here, and you want to pretend that them sitting down and pretending to care about indigenous water protectors as we are jailing activists, as now environmental activists are being labeled domestic violent extremists, as protesting is becoming illegal in most states, and also censorship, of course, of things is also now being surveilled at a greater extent. So like what exactly are they protecting, and what exactly are they doing when the legislation they're supporting is complete trash. It's completely anti the environment. It is pro privatization, which is another component of it. And of course, then you also have the reconciliation bill that they're supposedly holding Biden and all the centrist Democrats' feet to the fire, when that reconciliation bill literally does nothing for the working class. And that's their big, like, oh, see, we're fighting for you. And again, he's bringing up a good point. And I can't wait for that video to be released and more work to be done on that. How many pages?
2,700 pages. We went over the first 500 and you get to see it today. Our good friend Paulie, fam. But what do you say to the people who go, well, fam, the infrastructure bill really isn't even written yet. Yeah, I mean, the reconciliation bill isn't written yet, so we don't know what's in it and stuff. What are you going to say to that when people go, well, wait a second, it's not even written yet?
All these people voted for the CARES Act. All these people, like,
hello.
What I mean,
just look at history.
Just look at history. Show me, you like, look at your past actions, and then if I'm wrong, I'll say, oh my God, they actually did something. I'm not holding my breath. It's not that I want, I want something dire, like terrible to happen, and that I have no, and that I want to bathe in the glory of the destruction and the fall of the system. It's that it is falling, and people are trying to deny that shit is hitting the fan and that it is that bad. They're trying to trick themselves into thinking they can fix this via voting for more squad members so they can also do nothing and replace the old guard, not really actually remove it. That's the difference, I think, in a lot of how we view things, right? And so the Biden administration is also going to resume, and a lot of people miss this whole thing. The Biden administration, who Bernie Sanders has hailed, who the squad have hailed as the most progressive since FDR,
we'll move him left,
like moving him left, is actually resuming the drilling auctions.
There we go.
In going against the climate agenda that so many environmentalists voted for him for. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I know voted for Joe Biden just because they thought he was better on the environment than Trump. And that was like the one caveat that you could even say he could potentially be better, because the Republicans just say climate change is a hoax. So when Biden verbally said, oh, we're going to take care of climate change and blah, 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 people were like, he's better. And we're going to go back to the Paris Climate Accord. He's better. That is like maybe one minimal thing, but we knew that it was just all talk, because this is what liberals do. He
said it the second they won the primary. I never said I was going to stop drilling. He went right the other way. And then I was getting a lot of calls from all these little stupid fucking organizations, Greenpeace or whatever, trying to really sell me Joe Biden as a clean environmentalist. I'm like, are you guys fucking kidding me? I'd rather have the devil that we know than the devil that we don't know, because once he gets in, forget about it. You're going to think that he's there for your benefit and whatnot. And he's going to go right behind your back and start, allowing it to drill, baby, drill. He's for big oil. He always has been. And it proves it in the infrastructure bill as well. So,
and please. So this is from Reuters article on August 31st. All right. So it's like a week old. The Biden administration announced its plans that Tuesday to open millions of acres for oil and gas exploration, as the White House sought to comply with a court order requiring it to resume lease auctions. Of course, they knew that this was coming. They just play with you. The move, which includes some 80 million acres of water in the Gulf of Mexico, along with potentially hundreds of thousands more onshore, represents a setback for the Democratic President Joe Biden's plan to fight climate change, which included a campaign vow to end new federal oil and gas leasing.
It's not a setback, fam.
The U.S. Interior Department said it would offer almost all available unleased blocks in a more than 90 million acre area in the Gulf of Mexico. Precious, beautiful waters. The sale could ultimately result in the production of 1.1 billion barrels of crude oil and 4.4 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. The sale is roughly the same size as offshore sales held by the Trump administration, which downplayed the threats from global warming and sought to maximize domestic fossil fuel production. But guys, the Trump administration said flat out, we love oil. We want to create jobs. That we want to do this whole thing. They straight up told you from the start, like what
drill,
they were about.
Baby, drill.
Okay, I disagree with them, but guess what?
They're being honest.
But they're being honest. Joe Biden told you that he would fight climate change, that he was going to actually do something to change the cursory approval of these oil permits, because they know, like, this is what these oil companies do. They count on this. And instead, he's silently going back on his word, right? As people are praising him. Hello, Kyle Kuklinski, on Afghanistan, which also is another fucking bullshit, like, blunder he shouldn't be praised for. Like, it's all of this bullshit that he's being praised for. You have all these people like Crystal Ball, all these people saying he's so amazing. He's such a base president. Oh my God, riding with Biden now. Bernie Sanders praising him. And then you see this, that Joe Biden is going to continue drilling. Where are all the people that said, I'm not going back to sleep if a Democrat, we're going to hold his feet to the fire? They're not doing that. They're literally going back to sleep because the mainstream media isn't covering this. And now the mainstream media, light media, which are all those cucks that constantly trash on direct actions and focus all their time on smearing other people who are actually telling the truth, those people aren't calling him out on it. They're still saying, well, at least he's better than Trump. No, dude, you need to call these people out. And the fact is, like, these people aren't doing it, and they think like we're going to be so distracted with all the great things Biden is doing to not pay attention. But no, when we said that he would do this, we meant he would do this, because it's not like, you know, we're psychic. I mean, not both of us. So only some of us are psychic. But
fam, you can get there. I'll help you out.
It's like it's like all you have to do is look at people's past actions and their history and the history of this empire. And
yes,
it's very not hard to predict.
You got to look at the recent history, right? I mean, Joe Biden is a liar. He got thrown out for his first campaign for president before a lot of you were born for plagiarism. Like, literally, the guy's been literally, the guy's is a bona fide liar. And how many times every single war, this guy is fighting for war. That's why everybody's like, oh, he pulled out of Afghanistan. He pulled out of Afghanistan, idiot. He privatized it, number one. Yeah. Number two, it was a war that was going on for 21 years that we were getting our asses handed to us, right? And it was beyond time to pull out. And the last administration had already made a deal and set to have a pullout. So I don't want to hear you fucking giving fucking Biden the little cheers from the bleachers and acting like he's some anti-war guy. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And here we go again. Drill, baby, drill, right? You know, a lot of people thought this when we came to Jerry Brown. That's when I learned it, when we went to our first one of our first well, I wouldn't say it was our first, but it was early. Johnny made a video, sick and tired of being sick and tired, when it was called Jerry Brown's Last Chance. Before you get out of there, why are you issuing so many permits? Why are you making so much money off oil, and you're acting like you're the climate change governor? And you're really not, because if you read policy and you understand, if you just follow the money, you'll see who funds these guys. Biden has always been funded by all the big corporations, all the big tech, big pharma, big oil. So you knew he was going to do this. Why? Because a lot of people don't look at fucking laws. They don't look at this stuff. They look at the picture of the squad taking a picture with the indigenous people and Joe Biden going, I'm gonna end emissions by 2020. He said the other day. We even put that in the folder, right?
Yeah.
Said, we're gonna have clean air and energy by 2050 and 2020.
Yeah.
He said 2020. It's like, yo, it's 2021 with the mask on outside. Yeah.
Wow, Joe invented a time machine. Can we go back in time? Really? Seriously? Can we like not have what happened?
I don't know how long Americans are going to hold on to this bullshit right now, to not even see what's going on, to actually believe that this fucking idiot was elected in the fucking first place. And the fact that they put us in this kind of this bullshit choice of vomit or shit between Trump and Biden is disgusting in itself, guys.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they've been doing this for a long time. They are really fucking with the people mentally now, and we have to call this shit out for what it is. How much longer are you going to take this? I still can't believe this guy is the president. He can barely walk. He can barely talk. And yet you guys are acting like he's the leader of the free world. This shit is all, he was never elected. He was selected. That's what they've been doing to us for a long, long time. And with the medical tyranny that's going on, and I don't want to talk too much about it, you're going to have to open your eyes sooner or later and see what's what. Unfortunately, it might be uncomfortable for your status quo, you know, and your little title as a freedom fighter out there. No, you're going to have to look inside the mirror and say enough is enough. We're going to have to do something about that. So I don't want to get too crazy with those words, fam.
Yeah. No, yeah, 100%.
I'm going to lead the revolution.
And by the way, I used to be the kind of person that would be like, well, at least the squad is going there. At least they're listening to activists. But now I see it as just yet another tactic of them to perform and to pretend they're on your side. So now I hate it. I find that even more disgusting because they're not doing anything about it. And then instead they're using that to pretend they're doing something about it and to trick people into believing in them. And I find that far more nefarious than somebody saying, well, I don't give a shit about the environment because we need jobs and money. Like, I'd rather have somebody tell me straight up that they're going to be an asshole because I can then know where to put them. Like, but with these people, they're extremely dangerous. They trick people, they manipulate, they're theatrics, and it's just a bunch of actors right now performing, and people are taking them for their word, and not only taking them, but they're starting to pray, like just celebrate and praise them and become fans of them like they would celebrities. It's like they've taken the Hollywood obsession and turned it into like the obsession with the squad, and it's disgusting to see.
It works, fam. It works. It really, I mean, you still have these activists out there that we know, and that's the thing, is that I want to go back to some of the activists and it's like, really, I didn't think you were this stupid. Like, just look at them and say, I really didn't think you were this dumb to get played like this. Well, they align more with our values, fam. Isn't it wise to, why are you going and talking to these libertarians and stuff? These people, the squad, align with our values. Shouldn't be we working with them? No, they're not working for us. They never were.
They're public servants and they're in power. Their actual values are irrelevant at this point because they're being controlled and by people who have a lot of money. So now it becomes about class. And that's what you always have to bring it back to, is that it becomes about fucking class. You do not have as much in common with them as you think you do. You have more in common with those fucking Trump supporters and libertarians that you don't like than you do with the members of the squad. Why? Because they're politicians. So they're going to be politicians first and foremost. They're going to take care of themselves. That's why they gave more money to the fucking police after saying all cops are bastards.
No, they voted president, fam.
That's why. That's exactly. Yeah, if they hadn't done that, it wouldn't have passed.
Exactly.
So don't give me that shit. And so that's why you have, whether you hate it or not, you have more in common with the Trump supporter that you despise than you do with the squad.
Yes.
Because of class.
Check it out today. She's being ferocious. Woo! Guys, let's get on over to the Rokfin, ROKFIN, or you can join us on Odyssey. That's ODYSEE, like I see you. And of course, we're on YouTube, Twitch, the other bullshit ones. They can suck a bag of Richards. Trey Wright, hello mates, was the first one through the door. We already said that. Let's a Southern Comrade. He did a little, our friend Zach, let's go!
Southern Comrade.
Southern Comrade. That. I love it. Kristen Nye, thank you for the super rate contribution. It is always appreciated on the couch. And check this out, fam. This is our first tip on Odyssey. It's by Thomas Zari Bisizan. Zarbazan. Thank you. So it says, nice to see the Convo Couch streaming with us. Thank you so much for letting us come along and stream with you. This is great. Odyssey's another platform where they don't censor your words. Let's see if there's anything on YouTube. Oh, there's 250 people on YouTube. We love you guys. Guys, we need to get this Rokfin number up. Our subscriptions have been going crazy as far as our, not our subscribers, our, when you pay every month, what do you call those? Paid subscribers, our active subscribers. Our follower count has been getting a little bit slow. We need to get up there. I told Jason Burmis we're going to get back on his ass right now that he took a big lead. But you guys have been doing awesome, following us, watching our videos, showing us the love. So if you haven't signed up for Rokfin, please do. Or you can just click over there and go for free. You're not going to want to miss the last segment today. It is awesome. So get on over there. Fam, what about the ACLU?
So I'm going to be, and all of you guys should watch this, share this part out. This is an extremely important segment. A lot of people aren't covering this. So the ACLU, an organization I have admired for decades, an organization that I always thought, wow, like they're doing a great job of protecting civil liberties. It's called the American Civil Liberties Union, for crying out loud. They've been on the right side of history when it comes to the civil rights movement, when it came down for the feminist movement and the women's movement and the LGBTQ movement. All of these, of course, social issues, some, of course, related to economic justice as well. But now this American Civil Liberties Union, I find to be extremely hypocritical. They have slowly been losing my support. And, you know, I'm not saying they're terrible at everything, because they're not. They do point out some important things like the protest bills that are going on all over the country. But when it comes to internet censorship and the surveillance state, they have been going down, down, down on my list. And let's start with their support of standing up against the Texas abortion ban, which of course I'm extremely against. 6 weeks, like I said, women don't know that they're pregnant sometimes at 6 weeks. And this is what it says: breaking the, oops, did I lose it? Let me see. Oh, there it is. Breaking, the governor of Texas just signed SB 1, a new voter suppression law. This law is unconstitutional and anti-democratic. Texas will see you in court again. So this is regarding voter suppression. And they also talk about talk about recently about the Texas bill, the abortion bill, which is the other one. And you can see the picture, welcome to Texas. And it has the what's that show called?
It's the Mormon one, right?
No, yeah. Is it Mormon?
Is it
The Handmaid's Tale? That's what it's called.
I'm sorry.
I think I've seen a couple of episodes, but I never really.
Come on, guys. I watch good TV. I don't watch crap TV. Sorry.
So I wanted to point out what the American Civil Liberties Union stance was on how to treat the civil liberties in the presence of epidemics and pandemics, etc., prior to Trump in 2008 versus how it is now, because they recently wrote an op-ed. So what Oz is going to show is just the PDF, and you guys can go and find this PDF. It is like 48 pages, 50 pages of pandemic preparedness, the need for a public health, it says right there, not a law enforcement national security approach. So they're right there telling you that their approach in 2008 is not for more police surveillance, not for more control by law enforcement. So to not use, basically, in essence, the excuse of health to overturn and derail our civil liberties. That's what they talk about throughout the whole thing. I'm not going to go over the whole thing because, like I said, it's long. But this gentleman by the name of David Shane actually did a whole thread highlighting certain things that they spoke about in this whole PDF that you guys can go read. And I'm going to read some of the tweets he said, right? This is from the ACLU's 2008 report on how to not respond in a pandemic. So let's quote some of it. They said, there will always be a new disaster, always a threat of a new pandemic. If that fear justifies the suspension of liberties and the institution of an emergency state, then freedom and the rule of law will be permanently suspended. 100% agree. Too often, fears aroused by disease and epidemics have encouraged abuses of state power. Atrocities, large and small, have been committed in the name of protecting the public's health.
My bad. Sorry, I'm trying to get this big for you there. This one, right?
No, yeah, okay.
And the last one? Sorry.
The act used fear to justify methods better suited to quelling public riots than protecting public health. The premise of the act was that every outbreak of disease could be the beginning of some horrific epidemic requiring the suspension of civil liberties. And then he goes on to talk about the threat of a new pandemic will never subside, but the notion that we need to trade liberty for security is misguided and dangerous. Public health concerns cannot be addressed with the law enforcement or national security tools. If we allow the fear associated with a potential outbreak to justify the suspension of liberties in the name of public health, we risk not only undermining our fundamental rights, but alienating the very communities and individuals that are in need of help, and thereby fomenting the spread of disease. This last one in particular couldn't be more true. A lot of people are talking about the working class, minorities being the people that don't have the boop boop, et cetera. And it's not because they don't have access necessarily. It's because these people are already distrusting of the system and the establishment because they have reasons to be. So if you know, by pushing these mandates of sorts, you're actually affecting the working class, which is primarily made up of those people. And so this is exactly what that's saying. Now, this is the ACLU in 2008. You would agree with everything that was said there, right, Pasta? The civil liberties guy?
Everything, yeah.
I mean, I don't know if
every little bit of ounce of that whole situation, you know. And also, too, for me, it's the players that are involved who are actually making the mandates and making the rules. which I tell people, look at these people who are making the rules on top of things. Not the fact that we should always be protecting our civil liberties, and that's the way it goes, but the fact that those who are kind of telling us the rules, I don't understand why they're not suspect either. But this is really surprising to me, the turn that we're about to talk about. So please continue. This is amazing stuff.
So Glenn Greenwald, of course, wrote an article that was
a
well-done article, and you can see him saying the ACLU prior to COVID denounced mandates and coercive measures to fight pandemics, right? And in a New York Times op-ed this week, which we're going to go over, the group completely reversed its views, arguing vaccine mandates help civil liberties and bodily autonomy is absolute. Okay, so I have to be careful about how I discuss this, guys, because obviously, but here is I just wanted to read this part of his article. This is what he said. The ACLU concludes over and over that Americans' health authorities excessively relied on coercion rather than education and persuasion, fueled by media-aided fear porn and alarmist narratives, which is what's happening now. Lessons from history. American history contains vivid reminders that grafting the values of law enforcement and national security onto public health is both ineffective and dangerous. And this is, again, what they said. Too often, fears aroused by disease and epidemics have justified abuses of state power.
Of course.
Way too often, guys. Highly indiscriminatory and forcible vaccination and quarantine measures adopted in response to outbreaks of the plague and smallpox over the past century have consistently accelerated rather than slowed the spread of disease, while fomenting public distrust and, in some cases, riots. Again, if you want people to trust the system, you're not doing a great job by doing this, right? And so now let's get to the New York Times op-ed article that the ACLU basically is now completely contradicting everything they said, 13 years ago. I mean, in its entirety, contradicting. And I'm going to go over just how contradicting it is. And I took pictures because we know the New York Times wants you to pay. So here's the New York Times. And this is a guest essay opinion, right? We work at the ACLU. Here's what we think about the boop boop mandates. Do mandates violate civil liberties? Some who have refused the boop boop claim as much. We disagree. At the ACLU, we are not shy about defending civil liberties, even when they are very unpopular. But we see no civil liberties problem with regarding the COVID-19 V in most circumstances. While the permissibility of requiring the V for particular diseases depends on several factors, when it comes to COVID, all considerations point in the same direction. The disease is highly transmissible, serious, and often lethal. The V are safe and effective, and crucially, there's no equally effective alternative available to protect public health. False, and we can talk about that in the next segment. We have to be careful. In fact, far from compromising civil liberties, V mandates are actually further civil liberties. They protect the most vulnerable among us, including people with disabilities and fragile immune systems, children too young to be V'd, and communities of color hit hard by the disease. You literally argued the opposite thing 13 years ago. Literally verbatim, the opposite fucking thing. I just showed it to you guys. This is like literal co-option happening before our eyes. The requirements also safeguard those whose work involves regular exposure to the public, like teachers, doctors, and nurses, bus drivers, and grocery store employees. And by inoculating people from the disease's worst effects, the V offers the promise of restoring to all of us our most basic civil liberties.
No, it doesn't.
Eventually allowing us to return safely to the public, to life as we knew it, in schools and at houses of worship and political meetings, not to mention at restaurants, bars, and gatherings with family and friends, but only if you comply with an experimental. Okay. Okay. These are justifiable intrusion on autonomy and bodily integrity. It's justifiable, they say. They may sound ominous because we all have the fundamental right to bodily integrity and to make our own healthcare decisions, but these rights are not absolute. They do not include the right to inflict harm on others. While V mandates are not always permissible, they rarely run afoul of civil liberties when they involve highly infectious and devastating diseases like the COVID. Although this disease is novel, V mandates are not. No and no. School healthcare facilities, the U.S. military, and many other institutions have long required Vs for contagious diseases like mumps and measles that pose far less risk than the coronavirus does today. And just to be clear, no one is proposing forcible injections or whatever they say later on. Okay, and then they talk about how safe and extremely effective they are. A sizable portion of the eligible population has chosen not to be inoculated. In this context, then the mandates, much like masks mandates, are public health measures necessary to protect people from severe illness and death. They are therefore permissible in many settings where the unvaccinated pose a risk to others, including schools, universities, hospitals, restaurants, bars.
False.
Blah, 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 blah,
False.
blah. While limited exceptions are necessary, most people can be required to be V'd. Okay, and there should be exceptions, and it talks about some exceptions. But then this last part here, the real threat to civil liberties comes from states banning V and mask mandates. Even though most COVID-19 V mandates do not infringe civil liberties, several states, including Florida, Iowa, South Carolina, and Texas, have banned V mandates or mask mandates, and sometimes both, in the name of freedom. But these bans directly endanger the public health and make more deaths from the disease inevitable. They trample the rights of the most vulnerable who want to participate in society without putting their health at grave risk. We care deeply about civil liberties and civil rights for all, which is precisely why we support V mandates.
Ready, fam?
Okay, I know that was a lot for me to read, but I just wanted to juxtapose the dire contradiction in, pre-Trump versus post-Trump, pre-pandemic versus post-pandemic. It's crazy to me, but this is kind of a microcosm of what we're seeing in everybody, in every political institution, even with journalists, even with a lot of people. This one issue has absolutely destroyed brains. It has absolutely, I feel like it's mass hypnosis or some sort of, I don't know what it is, but honestly, this is insane. They're literally diametrically opposed to what they wrote 13 years ago.
Yeah. Fam, mass hypnosis. Wow. I mean, like the things that they are standing behind too as well. And just look at history, ladies and gentlemen, right? They did it with the military industrial complex. When the planes went into the buildings, after what followed that was a complete stripping of our civil liberties and for us to never get it back. That's why we have situations with Snowden, Assange, and what they were doing, and they were alerting the public. But the military industrial complex, there was the boogeyman. We have to go fight them over there so we don't fight them over here. So we're going to have to borrow your civil liberties for a second. We have to take it away. We have to be able to look at everything because we have to find these terrorists and bring them to justice, right? But even something right here, I want to do a little quick quote from Ben Franklin, and he said this a long time ago, because even our forefathers warned us about this. He says, those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety itself. Okay? They told us about it, and that's what they're doing right now. I mean, fam, you hit it on the nose when you said it's major hypnosis. When I did that video, Consciousness of COVID, Pat Miletich was talking about this. We have what's going on, which is like this major hypnosis. And the fact that they're saying there that these things are safe and effective, these boop-boops, when all you have to do is look to history. Most boop-boops take 10 years plus to get to market. This came to market in less than 2 years. And we'll talk about that deeper as we get into that section and stuff like that. But it's just fucking crazy that they are taking this stance. They are taking this position. They've been co-opted like many other groups have been co-opted. Yeah. And to all those other people out there that we know that are fucking going along with this, shut up and stay in your lane because this is obviously not your lane. Go ahead.
And I just wanted to close this segment by saying, where is the left? The left was authoritarian, anti-big pharma, pro-civil liberties. It's not a libertarian. I hear this even from people I like people that, they're communists and I agree with your ideology on everything. But when it comes to this, they're like, oh, it's a libertarian thing that people are pushing to be, anti whatever, the boop boop or whatever. Like it's not about that. It is, first of all, I'm nowhere near a libertarian, number one. Number two, it's about just rationale and logic. Like this has happened before. They have taken away your rights to promote some sort of faux safety that doesn't exist, and they have increasingly been doing that time and time again throughout, wars, and that's part of the imperialist agenda. And if you're an anti-imperialist, I just have a hard time understanding how you make an exception for big pharma when that is part of the empire. Everything is part of the empire. There's no separation of what the empire does and what they're doing. And if you're saying like that they're, these things should be available to everybody, absolutely, but they should be, then why do you like forget that there's a for-profit motive here? There's money to be made. There's politicians that are, using this whole thing to fundraise off of, to instill fear in people, to turn people against each other. That's what the system is doing. That's what the state agencies are doing. And I just don't see the left really talking about this. In fact, I see them embracing it. And it really, really sucks to see that happening, especially with a lot of people who say they're anti-imperialist. This is the empire. This is what they do.
This is it. And fam, it's the ultimate psychological warfare what they're doing here right now. Really, to tell you the truth. Yeah. I said before we were in checkmate. I think we're in check, and if we don't watch ourselves, we're going to be in checkmate. But it's very scary the way they got people saying, hey, what you do with your body affects my health. And when you can fucking create a situation like that, you can easily turn the people on each other really quickly, because there's going to be a group of people, especially when you control the media and you control all the Hollywood stars and all your whole Congress is bought off, and they're going to spew this narrative. It's going to be people against each other. So it's up to us, people, to educate ourselves, to look what's going on. I mean, it's crazy that the ACLU could say these things. And we're going to show you in this next segment. I mean, really, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't take a lot of research. First of all, just look at the players who are involved. But let me hold my tongue. We'll get to that so you can get to this part over here. Because I'm dying to talk about this stuff, fam. But it's disgusting that we live in an age where we're fucking censored and we can't even say certain things. We have to use words like boop boop and V. Guys, do you see the craziness that's going on right now?
And the only reason I'm even doing this on YouTube is so you guys can listen to actual shit that a lot of people on YouTube cannot cover without getting in trouble. So I wanted to point this out because this is how this is related to the empire and the empire's tactics. Because a lot of people say, ACAB and, defund the Pentagon, but they stop when it comes to what's happening with the boop boop and what's happening with the censorship of all of this. So fascism is the rule for thee and not for me. And that's what these liberals have exemplified throughout this whole pandemic, right? And you can see this right here echoed in the police, in the what you call them, stormtroopers. Portland may exempt police force from citywide vaccine mandate. So the city attorney's office advised city staff on Tuesday that the order was legally dubious. Portland city officials may need to backtrack on this order that was issued last week, that all employees be fully V'd against COVID-19 or risk losing their jobs. Officials said they're considering tweaking the rule to exempt one bureau, the city's police force. That's right. The city attorney's office advised city staff on Tuesday that the order requiring the police force to be V'd was now legally dubious due to a new guidance from the Oregon Health Authority. Under Oregon law, local municipalities can only issue these mandates for firefighters and police officers if there is already a federal or state rule in place that requires it, per an email from Deputy City Attorney Heidi Brown. The city believed that requirement came on August 19th when the governor, Kate Brown, issued a mandate for the state's healthcare workers. The city felt the governor's definition of healthcare workers was broad enough to cover police officers who received some medical training. And so the city attorney's office then advised the city to move forward with the citywide mandate that included police. But of course, now they're saying that that's not the case. So it's still up for debate. But if that happens, if law enforcement is exempt from this, and the plebs, the regular people who don't have riot gear, who don't have weapons of war, and you have Portland, right? A city like Portland, where we've been there, right? We've seen how the police are there. We've seen how they send the feds there. And is that going to include the feds then? Is that going to include the armed, military grade armed law enforcement and all of these people to be exempt from something that you're enforcing the people to do it, that you will literally may potentially jail or may pretty much exclude from society? Now you're just seeing we're already a divided society by class. Now you're seeing another tier of division when it comes to this. This is dangerous. This is fascistic. This shows you the class differences and the power dynamics here. This is why, if you're going to say ACAB, then you have to talk about the Pentagon and the military and government and Big Pharma, because this is how they're connected. This is how the rules only apply to certain people without power. Without power.
The CEO of Pfizer, I think, is yet to take the shot, right? It's his own shot, I believe. I don't know if that's changed. I haven't checked, but I know that was going on. Fam, remember My Body, My Choice?
Yeah, so you guys can see the two different ones here. There's the pussy hat type of women that says it, and then there's like, My Body, My Choice on the other end of the spectrum, which is I call my own shots. I like that. I call my own shots. So that, guys, I mean, people were like, quote tweeting me on this and like saying, "Oh, how dare you make that comparison?" Guys,
what do you mean?
It's because they were saying like you can't get pregnant like by somebody else, like they were using this stupid argument. Like
I don't know. I'm saying to them, what do you guys mean, My Body, My Choice? But like when it comes to shots and vaccine mandates, that's okay. These are the same people who are saying My Body, My Choice. It's ridiculous. Do you even? I mean, wow.
It's the same people.
The psychological fucking warfare, fam.
I have seen the Facebook and Twitter posts on one end. I can't believe the Texas abortion ban, blah, blah, blah. And on the other end, we need to exclude these people from society. It's like, what are you doing?
Chomsky.
Like, yeah, dude. Like all of these people, I'm just like, yeah, I'm against both. I'm against the ban on abortion because it's a female's choice. I'm also against people being forced to take something in their body that there's enough question, enough censoring to the point where they should have the choice to not have to take it. It is not stopping anything. And so that's it. And that's the end of the segment. And I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention, especially people on YouTube that normally don't get to hear these segments. You should go on Rokfin because I can freely more so talk about it. But it is important because it is also referencing abortion and all of that. And obviously I stand, for freedom of choice. Obviously, there are exceptions and degrees, and you can decide and talk about that. But once you start the slippery slope, that affects everything. And I think it's gross what I'm seeing from a lot of people on the quote unquote left, like where they're like, these people deserve to die. These people deserve to be ostracized from society. These people, like, they're like lesser than. And if all it takes for you to lose empathy and compassion is somebody disagreeing with you over one thing and you just want to turn full fash and literally like demand they go to the gulags, I'm sorry, that's not the type of left or anti-imperialist or, whatever I want to be a part of. That's not being an anti-imperialist. That's being pretty damn close to fascism. That's how things start. Yeah. When you start putting people in categories, that's something I never want to be a part of. And I find it disgusting and alarming that it's happening.
That's the part I think that we're going to start talking about, that we're going to have to either kind of face, we say, well, that's not the left, but that's become the left in America.
It's become a lot.
It's terrible, and they believe standing behind these big government mandates and whatnot, this authoritarian ways to get their way because they think that they're virtuous, like their way is the right way. I can go and I can force my authoritarian ways because my way is the right way. No, it's not. And you're showing your true colors when it comes to this situation. It really is sad what we become, especially when it comes to the censorship. You guys cheered on Alex Jones when he got deplatformed, and we said this, listen, we're no fans of Alex Jones here, but if you start deplatforming him, where's it going to end? Well, it's not ending. It's never ending now at this point. And there's other platforms we got to go to just because we could, so we can speak freely, just so we can read articles that are coming off the news or whatnot. Literally, they are taking down channels and suppressing people's voices, and you're cheering it on. And now you're cheering on these mandates because you think it's right. Yet you're not even looking in who are the people who are making these decisions.
Right.
And I want to say this right now too as well. I'm sorry, did you say something?
No, I said right.
I just want to say something right now. In this game right now, the way we talk to people matters. If you're one of the people who are really don't believe what's going on, you don't want to follow what Big Pharma's doing, you got to remember this. Our beef is not so much with those who follow the rules. Our beef was with those who make the rules.
Right.
So to get those people who follow the rules to see our way, we can't act like a 12-year-old child, jump up and down and say, just listen to us, listen to us, listen to us. We have to convince people through a good, sound argument, and stats and information. So when you have those people who are like, oh my God, wear your mask, you can't come over here without a test to your house. We've seen that situation. Yeah, there are some times when you draw a line in the sand and you say no more. And I won't do this because it starts with this, it goes to this, and then it ends with this. You know what I'm saying? Well, I'm going to explain that in the next segment. I don't want to say it. But there are people who are friends of us and whatnot who believe in this stuff. They're scared. They're frightened, right? You know, they have their everyday job. They're not in the bubble like us. You gotta convince them. And you don't convince them by acting the same way in an authoritarian manner as the rules that are set against us. So I just want you to follow that,
You're just going to convince them to leave the left and literally go to whoever embraces them, which is right now is the right. And if you want people to care about social justice issues and all of these things, you don't do it by making them feel unwanted on one end, and then like, you know, that's where they're going to go to. Yeah. And I say this as somebody that understands, like, you know, right now our biggest threat is fascism, but it's not the fascism that a lot of these people think it is. It's not the Trump supporter. It's not the Proud Boy. It's, yeah, there are vile people out there with racist tendencies and all of this. Like that's true. They have no power. Like the people who have power are the state agencies, the pharmaceutical lobbyists, those people making money and with for-profit incentives to do this. Those are the people in power. Those are my enemies. My neighbor isn't my enemy just because they voted for somebody different, and that includes a Biden bro. Like even those people like aren't necessarily my enemy. My true enemy are the people in power, the people that make laws, the people that legislate, the people that are deciding what is lawful or not. Those are my enemies. And right now, when you live in an oligarchy, when you're owned by corporations and the military and covert agencies, those are the enemy. We need to stop being distracted by these pseudo, you know, fights between Antifa and Proud Boys when it's just bullshit. You're not fighting fascism. You're playing into the state agency's narrative. And by demanding more mandates and more rules from big daddy government, you're really not doing yourself a good service, because even if you believe in big government, you don't want these people in power. The people that are currently right now, you don't want them in power, even if you are more of a person that wants a centralized form of government. These people are not the people you want making the rules. I know, right? As somebody that does not like centralized power structures, because obviously it's just so easily to get co-opted and to turn into totalitarianism. As somebody that doesn't want that, like, I'm telling you, this is not this is me being like, no, like, stop, because the road we're going down is extremely dangerous.
Yeah. Well, I think the battle is not so much left versus right anymore. It's bottom versus top. And we have to understand that, because no matter where they are, they find their ways, the big government, big tech, the mass surveillance state, to get in there and co-op any situation. Look what they're doing on the left right now. They've co-opted. We have to look at this as top versus down, not left versus right. And that's the big thing right now. Anything else, fam, before we get to these Super Rays? All right, listen, we're going to read these Super Rays, and then we want you to get over to Rokfin or Odyssey only, because unfortunately on YouTube, we cannot talk about this going on.
Even the segment I just did is a risk.
It is risky. It really is, and that's crazy, but we did it anyways because we want to make sure that we're getting more people. We want to grow the follower number over on Rokfin. Subscribers, we've had new subscribers across the board, and we can't thank you enough. Some people have kind of joined in on the whole yearly thing at a discount rate, which is awesome as well. So we love you, but get on over to Rokfin. I'm going to read some questions. When we're done, we're going straight over to Rokfin and Odyssey only. So you want to get over for this segment. Guys, this segment is fire. A new video just came out from a doctor we really trust. Get on over. Check it out. So no offense. Thank you for the Super 8 contribution. It is always appreciated on the couch, fam. Did you see that look? Tea Leaves, thank you so much for the Super 8 contribution. She says, fuck the ACLU. T-Can, fam. Roar, thank you so much, Roar Media. Oz, what are you doing over there? You guys look great and sound great. Great show. Speaking truth to power. Love our fams. Love our fams at Roar. If you haven't followed them on Rokfin, please do so. You got Amber. You got Shanda. You got Oz. You got the crew over there. We love them all. They are our fams. If you can't find us, just reach out to our fams and they'll find you for us. Aram says Thomas Jefferson's breaking institutions are more dangerous to our liberties than standing armies. If the American people ever allow private banks to control the issue of their currency, first by inflation, then by deflation, the banks and corporations that will grow up around them will deprive the people of all property until their children wake up homeless and on the continent their fathers conquered. Oh my God. Seriously, listen to what he's saying right over there. First by inflation, then by deflation, the banks and corporations that will grow up around them will deprive the people of all property until their children wake up homeless on the continent their fathers conquered. That was the problem with letting these banks run wild, all these corporations run wild. It's all one fucking team, ladies and gentlemen. Don't separate them. Big pharma, big oil, military-industrial complex, the banks. It's all about forcing people into the monetary system. You'll own nothing and like it. Klaus Schwab. Summer of 1970, and that is awesome, A-Rem. Thank you for that Super Ray contribution. It was a generous one. Summer of 1970, and thank you to all who lead these Super Rays. Summer of 1970. Here in Cali, the sheeple are gladly complying with the COVID-crazy rules. I'm too old for this shit. Tune in, tune on, drop out. Zeitgeist moving forward.
Yeah, I've seen the documentaries. It's crazy how willing people are. I've read books on psychology as to how Nazism happened and came about, and it was really just groupthink. It was really just peer pressure, wanting to be a part of the crowd. That's how it happened. And people, think it's going to be some dude that shows up and looks like Hitler or some Trump supporter or a KKK member, but it's really going to be people in suits. And that's what's really happening right now. That's what we're seeing.
George Carlin said it. He says they're going to show up. It's going to be the two-piece Nike outfits. Forget about it. You're not going to know. It's going to be a different look. And, I watched that 6.5, 7 hour advisory committee. And I'm going to tell you like that. I can't get that time back, but it was scary seeing what some of the California people wanted, I don't want to talk about it until we get over. So we're going to be leaving YouTube. We're going to be leaving Twitch. We're going to be leaving Twitter. You can only catch the last segment on Rokfin or Odyssey only. Thank you to all the new people over there at Odyssey. I saw somebody over there who was saying, welcome. Well, thank you for welcoming us. You guys are great. And that's Mr. Evans is there, Deadhead83, and Thomas Zerbika, BC Zand, whatever you say it. Thank you so much for that Odyssey tip. We do appreciate it. You guys have been awesome, but you got to get over there now because unfortunately YouTube will take us down if we did this section right now. So we are leaving all the other channels. Get us out of there. Get us out.